we grind in the gym, we grind every single day, and the mental toughness that it takes to bring that 100% every day is physically, mentally, and emotionally taxing. But baseball isn't about luck, it's about preparedness. The only way we don't leave our opportunities to chance or to luck is through that effort, is through that hard work. And somebody somewhere is giving that 100%. Not 90, not 95, not 99, 100. It's up to you to strive to be that somebody. That's somebody that they're talking about. So, the easiest things I've ever done in my life were my combat missions in Iraq. For some of you that may sound strange, for others it may seem kind of silly, but let me explain why. Basic training for me was back in 2000, so I enlisted before 9/11. I was 24 years old. My life got started a little bit late. 16 weeks straight. 16-hour days minimum, 7 days a week. Learning the most menial of tasks, hence why it's called basic training. Before my first deployment in 2005, I was attached to a unit we trained up for 6 months down at Camp Shelby, Mississippi, for those who don't know where that is. Before ever leaving the U.S., we needed to complete that training, again, just so we had the chance to go to war. The lessons learned from that deployment were vast, and although we lost several dozen soldiers, the U.S. Army, the Minnesota National Guard, our leaders, we learned from that experience and then applied those lessons. Before my second deployment in 2011, I trained for over 16 months. With the last 3 months being full-time, running 24-hour-a-day operations, often getting less than 5 hours of sleep every day. The lessons we learned from losing those soldiers in that first deployment set in motion a new standard of hard work. We now knew more about what we were getting into. So you guys that came on at 12, the game was different for you then than it is now. You guys are able to handle this adversity. You're able to handle those challenges differently and with more success, than when you came in as young guys. We didn't have the best of team at 13, did we? But the success that you guys are achieving now is directly related to the work that you put in order to get where they are. So for you guys that are seniors that are looking to go off to school, that work that you started when you were 11 and 12 and 13 is now starting to pay dividends. And you guys have all heard this adage, this statement, that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It takes time. It takes repetition. It takes effort. And it's a sustained effort over an extended period of time. And for some of you guys, that's years upon years. The mental toughness required to sustain that level of effort has proven successful. You guys are achieving success. You guys are actionable success right now. Right now, you guys are successful in doing what you do. Those long days, weather holding no consequence, as in war. We train when we feel sick. We train when we are tired. There are rarely off days in training. And of course, there's no off days in war. The enemy doesn't care how you feel. You're having a bad day, other team doesn't care how you feel. They want to take advantage. They want to take advantage of your weakness, and that's a warrior's mentality. When it comes to success, there is rarely ever a time when luck comes into play, and hard work, however, always comes into play. Hard work, again, does not offer a guarantee of success, but without it, there is a guarantee. What is that guarantee?
Chance of success.
Failure. Without hard work, we can guarantee failure. Good things don't come to those who wait. Good things come to those who work harder than all others. Great things come to those who will do whatever it takes, and great things come to those who do the work when no one is watching. I didn't have the capacity to put a lot of these ideas together on my own because I can only speak from my experience in the deployment in the military. So a lot of this here is other people's words that I'm applying into my life example. The discipline to work hard, not when the cameras are on, not when the haters are watching, not when the scouts are in attendance, but when no one is watching, no one cares. How hard do you work off the field? How often do you put the work in when nobody's watching? Getting up early, double, triple lessons, double, triple sessions in the batting cage, extra bullpens, the extra hour, the extra mile, the extra rep, the extra swing. In those little moments, those insignificant one more reps, greats are separated from the average. Champions and successful people care not if anybody is watching at that moment. They care for the result of their efforts. You guys are all here for a purpose. You have a goal. If you don't have a goal, you need to find one. But that goes along with our Blizzard Foundation program in the sense that you need to figure out what it is you want to develop and work hard to achieve that development. It is not going to come tomorrow. There's a reason the season is so long. There's a reason the work we put in is year-round. It just doesn't stop. On the field, there is no substitute for hard work, and hard work beats talent, hard work beats luck, and hard work legitimately beats most everything. Don't look around to see if others are watching. Don't seek recognition. Don't seek approval. You don't need it. You will be better without it. Some of the greatest success will be when no one is paying attention, and it is those moments you have only yourself to praise, because your success is a result of your hard work. Not his, but yours. No one can run the bases for you. No one can swing the bat for you. And it's impossible to beat a person that doesn't give up. It's impossible to deny that a person with the relentless spirit to succeed at all costs exists. And it is impossible to beat the hardest worker in the room. There is no greater satisfaction in life than that of hard work paying off, and no greater satisfaction than knowing that you are self-made. It's a lot to swallow in one capacity. And what I mean by that is this. It's up to you to put forth the effort. We are simply tools, we are simply guides, and we are simply here to help you develop whatever those tools that is that you have that you are looking to take into battle. As it pertains to the military, all those things, all that train-up we did, all those practice missions, all those concept of operations, all those different skills and techniques that go into being successful on the battlefield directly translate to whether or not we make it home safe. So those 6 months, those 16 months, those 24-hour-a-day operations before I went on deployment, all those things were a task that we had to accomplish, but the only way we could accomplish that task and move on to the next one is to gain expertise in the task we're focused on at that moment. We don't move on to the next task until we complete and can achieve success. We don't finish when we get it right once. We finish when we can't get it wrong anymore. And there's a completely different way of thinking. We practice until we can't get it wrong. How many of you guys have been in the cage, trying to work on either driving the ball away, driving the ball straight, dropping head, and you get that one more pitch, and I want one more pitch, I want to get that one good, and then you finish on a good one. How many of you guys have been there? Finish on a good one. What if you learn to practice with the mentality that you can't ever hit a bad one, or that's your goal? Just picking up what I'm putting down here? So earlier this week, I had kind of a birthday. It's not my personal birthday. I was born in July. My last mission in Iraq was during the drawdown, November of 2011. At the time, the U.S. military was withdrawing military operations out of Iraq. I was in charge of a vehicle. I was the lead vehicle on a convoy. I was a convoy commander. Vehicle commander for that convoy. I was the scout vehicle out front of the entire convoy. The convoy itself was made up of about 50 vehicles. 10 to 12 were military vehicles, all with guns and whatever. And then we were transporting what's called TCNs. And TCNs are third country nationals, locals that live in the Middle East, whether it's Kuwait or Iraq or otherwise, that are driving truck, and it's just semi-trucks, just up and down the highway to different bases in Iraq. I'd gone on 8 missions up to that point, 8 missions totaling about 50 days, somewhere in there. War is 99% boredom and 1% terrorism. And in that boredom is where you find out whether or not you have the discipline to remain vigilant in everything that you do. What I mean by that is this: when nothing is happening, are you still doing the things that you need to do to make sure that you're always prepared and ready? We don't get a second chance in war. There isn't one. So, on my final mission, we ran a 9-day mission up to a place called Kirkuk, Iraq, way up in the north central portion of the country. There's a forward operating base called Fob Warrior. As we left on November 14th, 2011, we received an intel briefing that brings us all the current updates based on different people that may be out in the field, intermixed with villagers, intermixed with TCNs, that are giving us intelligence about who's doing what enemy cells, what terrorist group, what extremist cells are doing this activity or that activity or what have you. And we get guidelines on how to conduct our mission operation. So you get that brief before you leave the wire, and the wire is just whatever U.S. base or operating position that you're at. And you leave that wire, and all of a sudden now it's game on. Like your rounds are chambered, you're hot, you're ready to go in case something goes down. So our intelligence that night told us that we need to keep that convoy in the right lane. My driver was a high school student that had recently graduated, came on and got appointed to my driver. So we're communicating, and we had done all our train ups. So mind you, we're several months into our missions and our deployment, and we kind of learn to feed off each other, as you guys do. You learn how to play off of one another. You have a preferred player that plays next to you. Some of you pitchers may have a catcher, but you have this guy. You have one of those guys that you just communicate well with around you. So my driver, Specialist Nielsen, says to me, "Hey Peters, I got a bad feeling. Can I shift lanes?" I say, "Yep, sure, go ahead." So I radio back to the convoy, the Ket leader. It says, to the convoy Ket leader, I says, "This is Bulldog 6-2, that's my call sign. Switching lanes to the left side, over." Convoy commander comes back, says, "Roger, Bulldog 6-2, moving lanes left side, on my mark." We get our movement command. We shift, just before we shift lanes, the other commander that we were riding with, that manages some of the other vehicles, was an Air Force commander. And the Air Force Ket commander says, "Negative, Air Force, stay right side." So you guys remember I told you about our briefing prior to that mission, right? The intelligence told us to stick on the right side of the road. "All right, Roger, Air Force is staying on the right side." I go back to my driver, I said, "Go ahead, make your shift." Boom, Bulldog 6-2, moving. We shift lanes. A few seconds later, an IED goes off. The IED went off on the right side of the road. It was buried on the shoulder right next to the edge of the tar. That IED blast was designed to hit the driver door of my vehicle, to wipe out and make the convoy stop. Being the lead vehicle, how many of you guys have ever heard cut the head off a snake and the body dies? Cut the head off a snake and the body dies. All right? This vehicle goes down, there's a world of shit about to happen. They missed. Instead, they hit the vehicle behind us. A little bit different vehicle. It was an up-armored semi being driven by Air Force personnel. Two persons in the vehicle. They do not have a turret the way we do in my combat vehicle. The pressure from the concussion of the explosion created a vacuum pressure, a change inside their vehicle that blew their eardrums out from the insides. Imagine the pressure change that required to blow your eardrums out from the inside. Not only that, but they ended up massively concussed. They had to be medevaced after we got to our next base. They didn't return, but they survived. And I go back to that because the lessons that we learned from that first deployment in 2005 changed a lot of our thinking, a lot of our structure, a lot of our methods, and how we implement the work we're doing, what our focus is. How do we know when we're ready to go? The only way we know that is when we don't get it right once, we just can't get it wrong anymore. That hard work was required in order to achieve that status, or that level of sustainability. And without that hard work, without those lessons, without applying that information and knowledge, we don't have the success that we had in my second deployment. We lost 0 guys second time around. 0. That's a huge, huge statement. Because you're in the middle of a war that's about to try to end, and the last thing that somebody would want to do in Iraq is get involved in a fight, in a firefight, weapon fight, what have you, that's going to jeopardize their safety or the person around them. And to have that stress, to have that adversity being in your face every single day, challenges you. It wears you down. It wears you out. It exhausts you. But the reason you still get up the next day and you get back into the grind and you get back into the training and you come back ready to go, is because you have a love and a passion for what you're doing, and it matters to everybody else. You guys need to have that mindset. You guys need to understand that you're here to accomplish a goal, accomplish a task, accomplish something. Know what that is. Know where you're going. Have a deadline for yourself to figure out, when am I going to achieve that goal? That's the only barometer you're going to have to know whether or not you've actually gotten there or if you're making progress. A goal without a deadline is just a dream. So it's up to you guys to figure out what type of work is going to be put in so that either A, you achieve that, or B, you fall short of it. So, I know most of this in some capacity probably fall a little bit on deaf ears, and I get it. I mean, it's tough to listen to somebody talk for 15, 20 minutes. But to those of you who take this to heart, I promise you, even if your dreams of playing baseball are not fulfilled, my dreams of playing baseball were not fulfilled, the lessons you learn from hard work will teach you other lessons as well, not the least of which are how to adapt and overcome, how to be resilient, how to sacrifice, how to persevere, but more than that, it will teach you self-discipline. If your goal is to play D1 and you end up D3, did you really reach your goal? If your goal is to start on varsity and you come off the bench, did you reach your goal? At the end of the day, each one of you has exactly one person to answer to: yourself. For those that feel that 99% is good enough, do not be surprised when you get exactly 99% of your goal. That means you are 1% chance away from success, and you failed. And in that sense, do not waste your time if you're not going to give it your all. You are too valuable as people, you are too valuable as players, and you're too valuable to your friends and family around you to not do what you love and put your heart into it 100%. This life is too short. For some of you that know Johnny Price, you know exactly what I'm talking about, or knew Johnny Price, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have to give that chance to yourself to be successful. I'll finish on this thought. A couple of years ago, I had a conversation with what was then the 13U team, and we talked about the chance of success versus the chance of failure. How many are here are outfielders? How many of you guys have ever been tracking a fly ball, and you got a bad read, whatever, you just didn't hustle, you just didn't get there, the ball drops, and when the ball drops in front of you, you get there, you think, God, I could have caught that ball. It's happened to all of us, all right? So I don't mean to dime you guys out, but it's happened to all of us. We've all been there. Infielders, you get to that ball that starts creeping up on the fence, foul ball territory. All of a sudden, we get a little alligator arm, we get a little short arm. We don't give that 100% to get there. And the frustrating part for me as a coach, and especially a military guy, is watching players that have the potential, that have the skill, that have the tools that you guys possess, that you get out there and you don't give that 100%. It's frustrating. And it's not frustrating personally, it's frustrating for us because we know what you possess. We know the talent and skill and the ability that you have to make the plays that you guys need to make. And you have to start looking at it as, what type of hard work am I putting in? Is my hard work going to give me the chance of success, or is my 99% hard work going to give me the chance at failure? Which one's it going to be? You have to be willing to give that extra 1%. So when we talk about how that relates to Kaizen, what are we looking for? 1% improvement every single day. Imagine if that 1% difference that you applied made the difference in everything that you do going forward. All of you here are good enough to give 100% every single day. But you have to want to. You cannot be afraid of the success that will come from the result of your efforts. You're letting yourselves down without achieving that goal of 100%. I'm Coach Trig, thank you.